Anytime Alex was around, you could just tell that the energy in the room was lifted. It was very hard to be in a bad mood if Alex was around.
He just had a way of making people feel so important and so connected to him, and it really made him a special person.
He had so much energy, and it was almost as though he was living every day like it was his last.
I don't think I ever could catch Alex in a bad mood. He was just always enthusiastic, always excited to talk and learn.
Alex could always look out for everybody else, and he really was a protector of all, except in the end, sadly, he couldn't protect himself.
Athens 2022 Charity Week is coming up fast, and everyone is excited. This year's charity, hand-selected by Athens Student Council, is Alex's Saints. Alex's Saints is a charity in honor of Athens alumni Alex St. Pierre, who died in 2019 from a drug overdose.
We always knew that Alex had an issue. We always knew that he was partaking in these things. And we were one of the oblivious people. And we were like, that's never gonna happen to Alex. You know, it'll never happen here.
Alex always gave this perception that he was invincible. And so we believed that, you know, we kind of lied to ourselves, and we had heard stories of this happening, but you just don't think it'll happen to you. And it's scary to speak up. It's scary to say something to the adults when we should have, but we didn't want to believe it either.
We saw a lot of things with Alex early on, and we fought really hard for him, but it was a lot.
You don't realize how quick this addiction problem can happen. Everyone's just trying to have a good time. You see your friends do it, and they don't end up getting addicted, and they're just fine doing it over and over again. That was one of Alex's biggest excuses, was that all my friends are doing it, why can't I?
Through his struggles, like, he wanted to get better. Deep down, truly did, and you know, the addiction is really tough.
He would just continue to live as if he was Alex. You know, he was always the same person, always that happy, high energy person, and so yeah, when you lose that loved one, it's just heartbreaking.
When it all happened, it was shocking. Like, the rug was pulled up from underneath us. It just felt like a final defeat because we had been fighting for him so many years.
I came home early, knew something was wrong, and I ran up there and it was like, he had just worked with me the day before. I just knew something was wrong, and I said, you know what? If this can happen to my son, it can happen to anybody's son. Like, don't think not your son, not your friend, not anyone, because boy, it can be anybody.
Friends and family of Alex knew that even though he was gone, his legacy could be carried on through a charity in his honor. Although this wasn't something that happened overnight.
I'm a big person on, glass half full, not half empty. Something negative happens, there's something positive in that can come out of there. I said, hey, let's, turn this tragedy into light.
Tyler called me one day and he was like, hey, I think I'm gonna start a nonprofit. I'm gonna ask Alex's parents, and I was like, awesome, go for it. So Tyler did a lot of the heavy lifting in the beginning, and I was like, I am on board to help with whatever you need.
When Tyler and Hannah came to us with this idea, we were really flabbergasted and appreciative. Even had maybe a little bit of hesitation at first because of the stigma, but we gave our blessing.
I think it was that energy that Alex radiated out of himself that kind of flowed into everyone. And that once that idea stemmed, the energy that Alex had put into all of us, it was just so easy and fluid and natural and organic for all of us to come together and put that energy right back into this organization.
So the goal is to help as many young adults as possible, especially in our Metro Detroit area, to help them get a good transition back into the real world from the rehab facility and include them within society as a human. Our goal is to end the stigma, because addiction is a disease, and that's a lot of people are out there judging and, oh, look, there's a drug addict, or hey, look at that loser, and that it's truly a disease, because these individuals, they're like me, they're like you, they're humans.
Foundation focuses on the addiction problem, and let's help the people who can step forward and say they have an addiction. It's any kid who's saying, darn, I shouldn't be using, but I really enjoy this and I'd really like to stop, but I don't know how to stop. These are kids that are having addiction problems who you would look at and say, I wouldn't even know it.
We kind of jointly came to the conclusion that let's try to save lives, but then also be there in the event that something like this happens to somebody and they need help with the funeral.
Early on, the first two we had were funeral assistants. But since then, we haven't had any of those, thank goodness. And it's been helping people, get back straightened out.
A lot of the people that are reaching out to us actually don't have insurance. And so that's actually, juicing the cost of rehab up quite a bit. So from what we're seeing right now and from the, 3 or 4 people that we've helped is it can range from about $10,000 to $15,000 per person. And that typically is, anywhere from 1 to 3 months of rehab. So it's a lot more expensive than we originally thought.
And we hear from these kids that we're helping, and they say, I have a second chance at life, and you're doing God's work. I mean, it makes you want to pick up the phone and call someone else, say, hey man, this is what we're doing, can you help?
Being selected for Athens Charity Week is a big honor to many charities, and the money raised can change countless lives.
Couple meetings have been like, oh my God, we can do this now, we can do that, we can accept more applications, because it takes quite a bit of money to help one of these kids out.
It's overwhelming, it's exciting, it's powerful.
It's amazing, yeah. Absolutely amazing. I mean, how many people we've had, call or text and just get involved.
Our Athens community, our Troy community, they are so excited because everyone remembers how great this week is. It's going to be incredible. It's nothing we could ever do, and so we're excited to bring the whole community together for Athens, to help us do this.
Just knowing that this whole event is going to help support others that are in need, similar to him, I know he'd be so proud and so happy.
I don't think a lot of people have an idea of how impactful this money will be and how many lives can be saved from it.
Although for Alexis Saints Foundation, being chosen is so much more than just the money. This opportunity also gives them the chance to educate the community and spread awareness.
Opioids are not the answer to any sadness or any depression that you're feeling, and I think it's really important for high schoolers, like young people, to know that.
No one wants to admit that they're in that situation because most of what they're doing is illegal, but there's a lot of great programs out there that will help people even though there is a legal aspect of it. And it might be hard at times to give grace and to not judge one another for their struggles, but this is something that when given grace, you can give people a new lease on life.
Now is the time to kind of speak out and just put away that stigma that it could never happen to my kid or my family, because it's very near.
It's so important for this crowd to understand, to speak up, and it is a serious issue, and even though your friends are having fun or they seem fine or they think they're invincible, they're not.
But when he died, I was like, there's no way I'm sugarcoating this, because he died from what he died from, and that doesn't mean I'm less of a dad, he was less of a son. It's an addiction like anything else, and the stigma, throw that stigma out.
It's not talked about, it needs to be talked about, and I think this is the perfect example to raise awareness and really educate individuals, especially because it's Alex, Athens grad, our whole board, Athens parents, Athens students, everything Troy Athens is right here, and it's going to be amazing.